Have you ever heard the saying, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost? It's the cruelest kind of truth. History doesn't always pivot on dragons or prophecies or kings getting stabbed in a throne room. Sometimes it pivots on a candle burning too low, a raven arriving 10 minutes too late, or a single woman surviving a night she was never meant to survive. Because in the brutal universe of Westeros, there was one quiet death, not on a battlefield, not in a riot, not at the edge of Valyrian steel, but in a birthing bed at Casterly Rock that poisoned a family so completely it eventually helped poison the entire realm. Joanna Lannister died in 273 AC, giving birth to Tyrion, and with her died the last softness in Tywin Lannister. With her died the only voice Tywin truly listened to. With her died the one person who could have stopped two golden children from turning their love into a sickness, and a third child from turning his pain into a weapon. Now imagine the nail doesn't fall out. Imagine Joanna lives. Not a fairy tale, not a suddenly kind Tywin, not a cuddly Lannister family sitcom, just one woman surviving. One thread not cut, in Westeros, changing shape around it. Welcome back to Visions of Valyria. Leave a like if you enjoy these one-change timelines, because this one doesn't just rewrite the War of the Five Kings. It rewrites the fall of House Targaryen, the fate of House Baratheon, and the fate of the North. And yes, it gives us the ending we always wanted. Section 1, the cut that saved the lioness. 273 AC. Casterly Rock is not a castle. It's a mountain that learned to bite. And on that night in 273 AC, it held its breath. Joanna's labor is long, ugly, dangerous. The kind that turns maesters pale and makes servants pray even if they don't believe in gods. In the original timeline, the birth of Tyrion is the moment everything breaks. Joanna dies. Tywin turns his grief into iron. Cersei turns her blame into cruelty. Jaime turns his love into a cage. Tyrion turns his survival into defiance. But here, right at the edge of that cliff, the realm swerves. Not because Tywin suddenly becomes merciful, not because the gods intervene, because one maester makes an impossible choice. A senior healer, not a storybook genius, just a hard, experienced man who has seen too many women die, orders the room locked, the milk of the poppy prepared, and the knives boiled. There are no comforting words, only urgency. "We lose her," another maester whispers. And the older man replies, voice flat as stone, "Not tonight." It is a brutal procedure, a desperate one, the kind Westeros rarely speaks of because it's the kind of thing that leaves men shaking afterward. But it works. Joanna lives, barely, scarred, weak, furious at the pain, but alive. And when Tywin Lannister storms into the chamber, expecting to be handed a corpse and a monster, he finds his wife breathing. He finds her eyes open. And for the first time in years, the Lion of the Rock looks like a man, not a statue. Joanna, pale as snow, manages a faint smile. "Tywin," she whispers, "look, our son." Tywin looks. Yes, the disappointment still lands. Tyrion is small, twisted, wrong in the way Westeros is cruel enough to punish. But the hatred, that instant, murderous, world-shaping hatred, it doesn't ignite. Because Joanna is alive to stand between them. Because Tywin's grief never gets the chance to curdle into something permanent. And because Joanna Lannister, the only person in the Seven Kingdoms who can touch Tywin's pride without getting bitten, is still here. Section 2, a house that doesn't rot from the inside. Let's be clear. Joanna surviving does not magically turn Tywin into a warm father. Tywin is still Tywin. He is still the man who crushed House Rain and made their minds into graves. He still believes fear is cleaner than love. He still believes legacy matters more than happiness. But with Joanna alive, Tywin becomes something different, controlled. His cruelty is no longer fed daily by grief. It's rationed, directed, strategic. And Joanna does what she was always born to do. She rules the line in private, so the line can rule the realm in public. Tyrion, Not loved, but not damned. In the original world, Tyrion grows up as a blamed child. Here, he grows up as a studied child. Joanna doesn't pretend Tyrion's life will be easy. She doesn't lie. She doesn't coddle. She arms him. She makes sure he reads everything, not just histories, but ledgers, trade records, law. The secret language of power Tywin respects more than swords. When Tyrion asks why lords kneel, Joanna tells him, because they're trained to believe they must. Your job is to know what they fear losing. And Tywin, seeing Joanna's insistence, does something small but seismic. He stops treating Tyrion like an embarrassment to be hidden and starts treating him like a tool to be sharpened. Not affection, but acknowledgement. And in House Lannister, that is the difference between being crushed and becoming dangerous. Jaime and Cersei, the sin that gets stopped early. Now we deal with the most delicate landmine in the entire Lannister myth, the twins. In canon, a servant catches them in childhood. Joanna separates them, posts guards, and warns them that if it happens again, she will tell Tywin. In the original timeline, Joanna dies soon after, and the warning becomes a ghost story. In this timeline, the warning becomes law. Joanna doesn't merely scold, she restructures the household. Jaime is moved farther away. Not for a week, not for appearances, for years. Cersei is placed with ladies who don't flatter her madness, women who teach her what queens actually do. Smile, listen, remember, endure. And Joanna speaks to them with a coldness that even Tywin respects. You are Lannisters. You will not bring this house down with a secret so stupid it deserves to be punished. And for once, Cersei hears something she can't ignore. Not moral judgment, practical doom. A child may defy rules. A child doesn't defy an apocalypse. The incest doesn't vanish because they're cured. It dies because Joanna doesn't allow it oxygen. Because she lives long enough to keep them apart until they grow into people with identities beyond each other. Jaime becomes what he always wanted to be. Not Cersei's mirror, but a knight with purpose. Cersei becomes what she always wanted to be. Not a trap girl, but a player trained by the sharpest woman she'll ever know. And Tywin, watching this, realizes something that will matter later. Joanna doesn't just soften him, she improves him. Section 3, the Mad Dragon and the Woman Who Knows How to Smile at Fire. To understand how Westeros changes, you have to remember what Joanna was before she was Lady of Casterly Rock. She was a lady-in-waiting to Queen Rhaella. She lived at court. She understood the Red Keep's true shape, not stone, but whispers. Aerys Targaryen's obsession with Joanna is not a rumor in this timeline. It's a living problem. At Tywin and Joanna's wedding, Aerys makes his infamous first night jape and takes unwanted liberties during the bedding ritual. A humiliation Tywin never forgets. Years later, at the anniversary tourney in 272 AC, Aerys insults Joanna again, crudely, in public. In the original world, Tywin's private grief turns these insults into poison. In this world, Joanna contains the poison. She doesn't excuse Aerys, she understands him. Aerys is a king who desperately needs to feel bigger than Tywin, and Joanna knows exactly how to handle men like that. Let them think they've won, while you move the board underneath them. So when Aerys snarls and jests and postures, Joanna does something that enrages him even more than defiance. She smiles. Not warm, not flirty, a smile like a locked door. And she whispers to Tywin at night, Aerys is a spark. You are a mountain. Stop reacting like kindling. Tywin listens, because it's Joanna. Because he trusts her judgment more than his own rage. And that single discipline, Tywin not exploding, changes the political weather of the realm. The turning point, Duskendale, 277 AC. When Aerys is taken at Duskendale, his mind doesn't just crack, it splinters. After his rescue, the king becomes more paranoid, more violent, more obsessed with fire. And then, like a plague arriving on silk slippers, Varys enters court after 278 AC. The Red Keep fills with little birds. Aerys stops trusting Rhaegar, stops trusting Tywin, stops trusting reality. And here is where Joanna's survival becomes the realm's last safety net, because Joanna recognizes what is happening. She has seen unstable kings. She has seen courtiers feed madness to gain influence. and she understands the terrifying truth. This isn't a rivalry anymore. This is a ticking wildfire cache. Section 4. The marriage that rewrites the realm. Tywin's greatest dream is still the same. His daughter as queen. In canon, Tywin wanted Cersei to marry Rhaegar. In this world, Joanna makes the dream possible, not by pleading, but by building a situation where Aerys has fewer and fewer alternatives. The crown's expenses grow. The realm is tense after Duskendale. Aerys burns men instead of hanging them. And quietly, Tywin's gold becomes the rope holding the kingdom over a cliff. Joanna doesn't go to Aerys like a petitioner. She goes to Queen Rhaella like a friend. She reminds Rhaella what it feels like to be trapped beside a man the world cannot control. And Rhaella, exhausted and frightened, does the one thing she can still do. She pushes for a marriage that binds Tywin to the dynasty, because Tywin is the only counterweight heavy enough to keep Aerys from tipping the realm into ash. So the betrothal happens, not easily, not romantically, but it happens. Cersei Lannister marries Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, and suddenly the future of Westeros changes its last name. This is where you expect Cersei to become instantly monstrous. But remember, Joanna raised her. Cersei still has fire, always will, but now it's placed in a hearth instead of a wildfire barrel. She learns court, she learns patience. She learns what Rhaegar is, a man who looks like a song and thinks like a prophecy. Their marriage is not a love story, it's a treaty. But it's a treaty that prevents a war. And when their first child is born, the realm exhales. Because whatever Aerys is, Rhaegar is clearly the next king. Section 5, Harrenhal without the spark. 281 AC. The tourney at Harrenhal still happens, because Rhaegar still needs it. He needs to gather the great lords, to measure loyalty, to whisper about the realm's future. And Varys still warns Aerys. So Aerys still attends, the first time he's left the Red Keep since Duskendale, because paranoia is the only thing that makes him move. In canon, Harrenhal is the match that lights the realm. Rhaegar crowns Lyanna. Brandon storms. The sequence begins. But in this world, Rhaegar does something that seems small and saves thousands. He crowns his wife. Cersei receives the winter roses in front of everyone, and the message is clear. The dragon is not chasing wolves. The succession is not in question. No Stark rides south screaming for blood. No father and son are roasted alive. No rebellion detonates across the continent. But Harrenhal still matters, because it becomes the place where futures quietly lock into place. Brandon Stark flirts and boasts and remains very alive. Catelyn Tully remains betrothed to Brandon, as she was always meant to be. And Ned Stark, the quieter brother, meets a Shara Dane beneath torchlight and realizes for the first time that honor does not have to mean loneliness. It's amazing what happens when the realm doesn't rip Ned's family apart. He finally gets to be a man, not a survivor. Robert Baratheon still loves Lyanna. Lyanna still resists being caged. But without war looming, Robert has time to grow up, to prove he can be more than a laughing storm. In Lyanna, seeing that the realm isn't forcing her into tragedy, makes a choice that feels like the first true happy ending this universe ever allows. She agrees, on her terms, not as property, as a pact, a wolf and a stag learning to live without blood between them. And all the while, above all of it, Aerys watches his own court like a man watching strangers occupy his home. He sees Tywin speaking to lords, sees Rhaegar being admired, sees the realm quietly preparing for a future without him. And the Mad King does what Mad Kings always do when they feel the world slipping away. He reaches for fire. Section 6, the night the city almost burned. This is the moment your AU earns its realism, because a world where Joanna lives doesn't magically make Aerys sane. It makes the response to Aerys smarter. Joanna's court connections begin to bring her rumors. Alchemists seen too often. Casks moved at night. The faint chemical stink of wildfire where it should never be. And Joanna realizes the truth before most men would even allow themselves to think it. Aerys isn't just paranoid. He's preparing a funeral pyre big enough for a city. She tells Tywin. Tywin, for once, doesn't rage. He goes cold. And Rhaegar, prince, father, husband, finally chooses. Not rebellion, not open war, a clean removal. A great council is whispered into being, not as a declaration, but as a safety mechanism. The great lords are summoned under the pretense of royal health and succession planning. And Aerys, sensing it, snaps. He orders the pyromancers to make ready. He speaks of traitors. He speaks of cleansing. And then he gives the order that ends his reign. Burn them all. But this time, the man in the white cloak does not freeze. Jaime Lannister has been shaped differently in this world. Not by incest, not by bitterness, by duty, by Joanna's expectation, by the knowledge that honor is not a joke, it's a choice. So Jaime does what the Kingsguard oath truly means, even if the wording never says it. He protects the realm. He kills the pyromancer who would have lit the fuse. And when Aerys turns on him, screaming, spitting, eyes wild, Jaime drives steel into the king's back. Not for glory, not for love, for the city, for the children asleep in Flea Bottom, for the mothers and fathers who will never know how close they came to dying in Greenfire, for Westeros. And here is the twist that makes this the thrones we deserve timeline. Jaime is not hated for it, because Rhaegar controls the story, because Tywin controls the evidence, because Joanna controls the court. The caches are revealed. The pyromancers are dragged into daylight. The Great Council sees the wildfire with their own eyes. And when Rhaegar is crowned, he does not let the realm turn Jaime into a villain to make themselves feel cleaner. He names Jaime what he actually is, the man who saved King's Landing. Jaime's white cloak is taken, not as punishment, but as release. A king can strip a Kingsguard of his place. It's rare, but the crown has the power, and Rhaegar does it in front of everyone. Go home, he tells Jaime, so the whole realm hears it. Be the lion you were meant to be. And Tywin Lannister, the proudest man alive, looks at his son with something dangerously close to emotion. Not softness, but respect. Section 7. The reign we never got. Years pass, not in montage, in governance. Rhaegar becomes the king the songs promised, and the administrator the realm desperately needed. Tywin returns his hand, not as a tyrant, but as the engine that makes the kingdom run. Joanna becomes the quiet pillar behind both House Lannister and House Targaryen, the bridge that keeps dragons and lions from tearing each other apart. Cersei becomes a queen who rules, not merely reigns. She still has ambition, she always will, but now she wields it like a blade with a hilt, not like a child swinging a knife. Tyrion grows into himself without the constant whip of Tywin's hatred. He still drinks, still jokes, still prefers sharp words to blunt violence, but now the realm sees what Joanna always saw, a mind built for statecraft. When he's older, Tyrion becomes something Westeros rarely allows. A Lannister loved by the people who meet him. He becomes master of coin, not because Tywin needs him, but because the realm benefits from him. Robert Baratheon, without Lyanna's death poisoning his life, becomes a strong Lord of Storm's End. Still loud, still stormy, but not hollowed out by grief. Ned Stark marries a Shara Dane, and the North quietly gains something it never had in canon: joy. Brandon Stark becomes Lord of Winterfell in time, with Catelyn at his side, and the Stark line continues without trauma defining it, and the realm stabilizes. No Greyjoy rebellion sparked by a weakened crown, no War of the Five Kings, no Red Wedding, no Lannister Baratheon children built on incest and lies, no spiral of vengeance eating every house from within. It almost feels like Westeros has been cured. Almost. Because the gods don't care about politics. And winter still comes. When the true enemy returns. In the far north, the dead begin to walk. At first it's rumors, missing rangers, wildlings whispering about pale riders. In canon, the realm ignores it because the realm is busy tearing itself apart. In this world, the realm listens. Because the Night's Watch is funded again, properly, by a crown that isn't drowning in civil war. Because the Starks aren't broken. Because when ravens fly south, there are men with the power to answer them. Rhaegar believes, not out of fear, out of prophecy. He sends dragonglass from Dragonstone. He sends men. He sends Jaime Lannister, Warden of the West, leading disciplined forces instead of mercenaries. He sends Robert Baratheon, laughing as he rides north, thrilled to fight something that actually deserves his hammer. He sends Stark banners that arrive whole, not as survivors. And Tyrion does what wins wars more than swords ever do. He feeds them. He organizes supply lines in blizzards. He turns the realm's gold into warmth and steel and torches. When the dead test the wall, Westeros doesn't respond with panic. It responds with unity. And when the first true battle comes, when the night howls and the whites crash like an ocean against firelit ranks, the living do not splinter into rival armies. They stand as one. The others are not defeated by a single hero. They are defeated by the one thing they cannot understand, a realm that does not hate itself more than it fears the dark. And when dawn finally breaks, red and exhausted over a wall that still stands, the survivors don't look back on it as the end of the world. They look back on it as the moment Westeros finally grew up. Not because it found a better king, but because, for once, it found a better family. So what happens when Joanna Lannister lives? Tywin becomes sharper, not crueler. Cersei becomes a queen, not a monster. Jaime becomes a hero without becoming a tragedy. Tyrion becomes the realm's mind instead of its scapegoat. The Starks don't shatter, the Baratheons don't rot, the Targaryen dynasty doesn't fall into exile and ashes, and when the true enemy comes, Westeros is ready. Not with dragons, not with prophecies, with each other. That's the nail, that's the thread, that's the single life spared in 273 AC that changes everything. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Rhaegar's reign would truly hold, or would the realm eventually find a new way to fracture? Would Tywin ever accept Tyrion openly, or would pride always keep that final door shut? And most importantly, if Westeros had been united like this from the beginning, would the long night have even made it past the wall? Drop your thoughts below. I read the comments more than you think. And if you want more one-change timelines that rewrite the entire story, subscribe to Visions of Valyria. Because in Westeros, history is always one heartbeat away from becoming something else.